Hey, what's up guys? So today we have with us the new Samsung S21 Plus and S21 Ultra. Now the S21 Plus I have with me today comes in a Phantom Violet with a rose gold camera plate, which looks really great, but not as great as the Ultra model, which comes in a Phantom Matte Black and an even blacker camera plate. So if anyone out there loves black, this is the phone to get, and I really mean it. The texture of the matte black is phenomenal and I'm so in love with this phone. Now, the borders of the phone, however, is still in a glossy black. I'm not too sure why, maybe it's a bit more durable, but it still looks kind of wholesome altogether and a nice blend with the screen. I especially like the pop-out of the camera on these phones. It seems a bit more integrated with the body rather than a foreign object that's sticking out of your phone, and I think this is the way to go for any of these multi-camera phones out there. It's really leaning into the fact that yes, the camera is going to be popping out, so why not make it integrated into the whole phone? Now the screen on the front of this phone, the Infinity O display, is now a flat profile in contrast to the previous S20, which was a curved profile. Now this means two things. Firstly, less distortions on the side, giving you a full frontal screen, and secondly, a more durable screen. You don't have to worry about the edges as much, and even if you damage the screen, it might be a bit cheaper to replace rather than a curved screen. Now since we're talking about the displays, they both have massively large OLED screens. The S21 Plus with a 6.7-inch display and the S21 Ultra with a 6.8-inch display. Now a small difference, but that also means that cases would be different and not as compatible with each other. Now of course the difference in size is mostly attributed to the high performance specs in the displays, as well as keeping each device as compact as possible, which means there's not really a big reason to keep them both the same size. The difference in performance of each screen boils down to the resolution, the S21 Plus with a 1080p Full HD resolution and the S21 Ultra with a 1440p Quad HD resolution, both of which have a max refresh rate of 120Hz, making scrolling through photos and apps really smooth. The brightness of the S21 Plus screen peaks at 1300 nits, while the S21 Ultra peaks at 1500 nits, both of which are really bright and very usable in daylight. Now with this generation of phones, both of them have under-display fingerprint readers measuring 7.5 by 8.25mm and improved larger sensor area for easier unlocking and reading of fingerprints. Now both these phones have fast wireless charging capabilities compatible with AFC and Qi charging. It also has wireless power share, allowing you to charge other phones. Now of course, the main big difference between the two models is the camera specs. Now the S21 Plus comes with a 10-megapixel selfie camera, a 12-megapixel ultra wide, a 12-megapixel wide, and a 64-megapixel telephoto lens. The S21 Ultra on the other hand comes with a 40-megapixel selfie camera, a 12-megapixel ultra wide, same as the S21, a 108-megapixel wide-angle camera, and two 10-megapixel telephoto cameras. Now both the Plus model and the Ultra model have this thing called Space Zoom, which is basically digital zoom. It has a subject locking feature that uses AI to lock onto subjects in order to digitally stabilize your shot, but it isn't always perfect, but it helps. But that being said, the 100x zoom is practically useless and images are way too low resolution to make any sense out of it. Now, one of the great things about these cameras is that they are able to switch automatically into a macro mode using the wide-angle cameras, which means giving you a shorter focusing distance, allowing you to get up close with the subject. Now, of course, all these camera specs might sound very impressive, but using it personally for the past couple of weeks, I found it pretty inconvenient. Now, firstly, the 108-megapixel mode. Now in this mode, you can't change the focal length and you're basically stuck with a certain focal distance, which means it's very specific for its use and you have to really know what you're photographing in order to use this mode well. Now I understand that this might be a technical limitations, but at the same time, I don't find the 108-megapixel mode very useful. It takes up so much space in your phone, it takes a long time to load, so I barely used it at all. Now, as for the 8K video, that's something very questionable. Now firstly, not many people can even watch 8K, let alone have the video editing capabilities to edit 8K footage. The 8K is also cropped and not very user-friendly when it comes to using the camera phone handheld. In my opinion, the 8K video is an impressive spec but not very useful. Now that brings my whole question to why these features even exist if it's so limiting. Now I think Samsung is trying to push the limits of what it can do, but it might not be ready to handle all that just yet. Now that being said, I do think that this is a very beautiful phone. It comes with very wonderful specs, it's a great phone to use. The camera features, just the regular ones, are really great on its own. I don't think there's a need for a 108 megapixel camera right now, or even an 8K video function. So with that said, I hope this whole review and my outlook on this phone has been helpful for you guys. It's just my own opinion and what I've been feeling about this phone over the past few weeks. Now, I'm not being paid by Samsung or sponsored this phone. I'm gonna return this phone in a couple of days. So all these are just my thoughts and personal feelings, and I hope it has been helpful for you guys. If you guys found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.